Hello there my fellow chuckleheads. I'm your host of this channel, Loki the Octopus of Chaos. In my last few videos you couldn't really hear my voice, so robot voice it is. I'm sorry if you don't like it. Until I figure out audio balance. I hope you enjoy this new way. Without a doubt, thank you for the watch. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Now the first story is called It's a Trap. Now let's get read this. Sorry. ISO and I were invited by a friend for a board game night. Upon arriving, getting comfortable, preparing some food, and waiting for the others to join, we began discussing which board game to play from our friend's huge collection. To our surprise, our friend declared, "Oh, today we'll play DND 5e. Wait, that's not a board game." Nevertheless, I was on board, but my SO wasn't as enthusiastic, as she doesn't enjoy it. When the rest of the group arrived, we had a total of 7 people, including the DM. The DM came bearing a substantial chest filled with game-related items. He explained that he had prepared an extensive campaign for us. I inquired whether we could perhaps start with a one-shot adventure, considering that, except for me and the DM, none of the others had played a tabletop RPG before. However, he declined, asserting that full campaigns maintain people's interest over extended periods, and he believed his captivating introduction would ensure everyone's engagement. Although I wasn't entirely convinced, seeing the majority of the group eager to give it a try, I didn't want to dampen the excitement. The next development involved the DM revealing numerous books from his chest, the player's guide, various supplements, and even an unfamiliar third-party supplement with a custom world. This world seemed quite dark, reminiscent of World of Darkness rather than Farron. The DM distributed blank character sheets and announced that we would begin by creating our characters. I suggested the possibility of using pre-made characters, especially for beginners who might benefit from a quicker start. I asked if he had any pre-made characters available. He firmly replied, no. Creating their own characters will foster attachment, encouraging them to stick with the campaign. Though skeptical, he explained that everything within the provided books was available for character creation. Given the group's apprehension about the multitude of books, I advised them to opt for something basic from the core book. Since we only had one copy of the book, I would have brought mine if I'd known we were playing D&D. Lol. The character creation process became time-consuming. Participants also needed guidance on where to record various information, and completing the character sheets proved to be quite time-intensive, especially for novices who weren't accustomed to noting concise reminders, leading them to transcribe entire rule passages. Furthermore, the group desired a clear understanding of their choices, and since the DM's explanations were lacking, I took on the role of introducing the concepts. We also located essential resources online. While one person was transcribing their choices to their sheet, the others continued with their character decisions. In order not to block the player's guide even further, I made my choices only out of the third-party content, which seemed pretty OP. In the end, the character creation process consumed numerous hours, leaving everyone fatigued and honestly, rather bored. At this point, the DM announced that we could commence the game, revealing that he had prepared a session lengthy enough to last the entire night. However, most participants swiftly expressed their limitations, citing only 4 to 5 hours of available time, suitable for a board game, which was already up. My SO and I were also quick to depart. The DM indicated his intention to organize the next session soon. However, a few days later, when he inquired about everyone's availability for the upcoming week, all were occupied, and perhaps uninterested. This marked the last time the campaign was ever mentioned. The DM made no further attempts to organize sessions, a fact for which I'm quite relieved. As a side note, I have no insight into the campaign's theme since the DM was unwilling to provide even a brief overview before we created our characters. While this situation might appear relatively mild by the standards of this subreddit, it's still noteworthy that someone managed to ensnare 6 people into wasting several hours for essentially nothing. This experience likely discouraged 5 individuals from ever trying the tabletop RPG hobby again. Okay, I think this DM wanted to run a game and maybe never run one before. I'm a toddler DM, so I have some experience of running a few games. But this guy should ask for help. The OP seems to have some experience in TTRPGs. The DM should have asked them for help. I have ran a game once with first-time players, but they wanted to play the game. However, the OP's SO didn't want to play. They wanted to play a board game and they set up enough time to play them. However, the time they set up to play board games, it was consumed by character creation. I'm not the most experienced DM, but I have ready-made characters if the player doesn't know what to make. Well, I might need to adjust the levels of some of them. Other than that, I think the DM didn't know what to do and how to do it. One more thing, tell your players what the game is about. You might need to hook them in. Now time for the next story. It's called My First Time as a Player Was a Beautiful Glorious Train Wreck. This one sounds fun in my opinion. My first time playing Pathfinder, my brother invited me to a FLGS where I was told we were playing a Baba Yaga campaign. I had no idea what that meant, but I was excited to play. We started with 6 players and ended up with 3 regular players plus the GM. The GM was a nice dude, but maybe a bit of a mess. Hope he got his shit together since then. I looked forward to playing, but it became clear that each session was basically whatever the GM saw on TV last night. Particularly when we had an arc where we had to pose as chefs under the wing of fantasy Gordon Ramsay to infiltrate a castle. So what made the game a train wreck? Well, we were all absurdly overpowered and yet completely impotent. Bosses just didn't take damage until the GM wanted them to. Planning didn't really matter. At the same time, 2 of us became demigods with absurdly overpowered homebrew abilities, and one of us became a dragon with insanely overpowered homebrew abilities. My brother's character also immediately went fully chaotic evil, drank from a fountain of blood in hell, and became an overpowered vampire monster. Mine found out about some latent celestial bloodline. The half-dragon touched a cursed eyeball. So basically the game became a balanced nightmare. The GM probably didn't know how to handle our abilities, so he just nerfed us until he was ready for it. He also said he would incorporate backstory and asked for them, but he did not include the gnome mafia I wrote into mine, and I am forever sad about that. It wasn't a requirement, but the fact that he went the demigod with amnesia route when I gave him a perfectly good set of gnomes with nightclubs is disappointing. Enjoyed hanging out with my brother. We pretty much just shot the shit, and although I wouldn't consider this a good campaign, it was fun. Eventually the game fizzled out and my brother stopped hanging out with the GM because GM apparently borrowed money he never paid back and asked for rides a little too often. GM also owes me $20, but I stopped lending money after the first time. The GM also had a newborn, and there were a few times when it kind of felt like he was running off to DND and abandoning his SOA bit. So maybe this was just a weird time in his life. Simultaneously, thanks for a fun first experience, and oh boy, what a weird game that was. I have 2 goals in running games. You as the DM should have fun. The players should have fun. If you and the players are having fun, you're doing a good job. I will admit I like backstory and I don't know how to implement them in my games, so I can't blame him on that. Plus this guy has a kid and we don't know what's going on at home and money-wise. So I'll leave it be. That's the end of this video. Thank you for watching and spending your time with the Chaos Octopus. I'll be working on the whole audio thing, but until then, keep chuckling and have fun in the ocean of chaos. That's how you stay happy. Bye.